there's so many questions I have with this team. You're talking about their home and their road record, and their home record the last couple of years versus the home record this year.
Yeah. Or the last 10 years.
Yeah, or 10 years, yes, fine. Outside of the one season where everybody was out, and it kind of skews a lot of the numbers. 17-17 at home. And the more and more I think about it, and you're asking, like, people don't fear them. What should they fear?
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at that starting lineup, and you and I kind of talked about this, and I know starting, and then there's, like, after a couple minutes, and a bunch of people are in and out of the lineup, so it's not the end-all, be-all. But this starting lineup of Chris Paul, Kuminga, Trace Jackson, Draymond Green, and Podziemski, you tell me who a team should be fearing in that lineup. Well, offensively.
Well, we trotted out that lineup in NBC Sports when we're doing our pregame show Saturday, and Bully saw and I give him credit. He's a Hall of Famer. These guys know the game inside and out. They've forgotten more basketball than we'll ever know, Shasky. It is what it is. So I always take their, whether it's Festus, Darrell, Bully, I listen to those guys tough, or coaches and everything. And as soon as Bully saw the lineup, he goes, well, that's a lineup I may run zone against. and look, man, when you have Chris Paul out there, if you're going to start Chris Paul, which is obviously the right move to make in place of Stephen Curry, then I need Chris Paul to be with his guys, the guys that he flourishes with. Like, you hear the talk from Steve Kerr, the dialogue is, hey, we're going to cater to the offense and try to do what Chris Paul does best. Now, you need some shooting out there. Mm-hmm. And this is where, and look, man, I don't care about the starting bitchy thing, whatever. Guys are going to get their minutes on this team. But if you're going to play Chris Paul and start him, I think you have to start Klay Thompson alongside of him to get some shooting. Because San Antonio, now the data's going to say that they didn't run a lot of zone defense. All they did was sit in zone. They sat in zone and said, I dare you to make outside shots, Golden State. And the only one who was capable of making outside shots Saturday night was Klay Thompson. So you need that threat. And so I'm moving Podziemski to the bench in this lineup, Shasky. I got to go Klay, CP3, and TJD. So I got my roller and my guy who's diving to the basket in TJD. I have my shooter in Klay Thompson, and I have Chris Paul. And then now you got a combination of Draymond Green and Kuminga because you need the defense. And you need another slasher going to the rim. But you need shooting. And this is a team in San Antonio, Shasky. I know I'm long-winded here, but they're one of the teams that blocks a lot of shots. Now, they didn't have Wemby on Saturday night. So you should have been able to go to the rack and get to the rim. Now Wemby's going to be back, and it's going to be imperative that you make a couple offside shots tonight in San Antonio if you want to win this basketball game.
You referenced Podziemski. The combination of Podziemski and Moody, it felt like their combined worst game of the season.
No doubt.
Now, I'm sure there's other games that I could point to that, like Moody couldn't hit the right side of a barn from deep. And
Moody's 1 for 14 from 3 in his last four games.
Well,
1 for 14.
You brought something up in the green room, and I think there's a role for Moody. I don't know what the role is, and I've gone back and forth. Like, there's times where I'm like, try him out here, try him out there, and work on things. But like when it's all said and done, I think most people would have to admit he's probably destined to be a role player in the NBA. He's not some bona fide starter. But that's kind of where the Warriors are at right now. We're clamoring for changes and throwing this guy in the lineup. You don't have a lot of options.
No, you don't.
You just don't have a lot of options. And you bring up the three-pointers about how we're clanking and how people are laying off us. Can we contest a three?
Well, San Antonio.
I mean,
you heard Fitz all night long. San Antonio is the hottest three-point shooting team since the All-Star break. And it's funny, right? It is funny. But you know what? They were 17-33. Yeah. 17-33. The data tells you, and it's crazy what the data tells you. They're 29th in terms of three-point attempts. They're in the mids. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'll pull it up in just a second, man. I just had the numbers up when it comes to their three-point shooting. Well, I have it right here in front of me here. Their three-point shooting, 29th in the league, 34.8%. This is going into Saturday night. 29th in the league in three-point percentage. And then made threes, they're at the bottom of the list as well because they only make about 12 a game.
You know what? Data.
They made like 10 in the first half. So,
I mean, two right away.
Right away.
From some guy I'd never heard of.
I mean, so they were up. Gosh, they were up 19. They were up 19 at halftime. And I had burned the Boston tape from Sunday. So I text Daryl, who's a statistician, one of the guys working with Raymond Ritter. He always sends me all the data and all the stats, all these clunky stats. And I go, Daryl, is that the largest halftime deficit they faced this season? He goes, Bonte, you already forgot about Sunday against Boston? It's like, yeah, I forgot about that game. They were down 44 in that one. But they're down 19 at the half to San Antonio. And it was just like a couple times they cut it to 9, cut it to 8. And San Antonio would just go on a little 5-0 run. Keldon Johnson off the bench. Dominic Barlow. Sohead. Who names it? It's just, boy, without Stephen Curry, man, no gravity whatsoever. This is just a completely different team. Like, it is night and day.
But I think the frustrating part is that it feels like to me, we're looking at the coach to do a miracle, and I get it. Like, everyone's losing their minds about. And I was even frustrated. Like, Trace Jackson Davis alongside Draymond to start the game.
Well, you want CP3's lob threat, right?
Yeah, I get that.
So, and you're not going to bench Draymond right now because you need his defense.
But where's the spacer? Like, if you're going to play Podziemski alongside of him.
That's why you got to insert Clay.
Exactly.
Yeah, insert Clay for Podziemski. It is what it is. Podziemski goes in, and it's not an indictment on Podziemski. I'm not saying he needs to go on the bench and play 10 minutes. He's going to still see 25 to 30 minutes of action.
You have to play your most threatening lineup. I mean, that's really kind of where they're at right now. And his argument was like, well, we needed the defense. It's like, that's a 14-win San Antonio team.
Right.
We're really like scared out of our minds about their offensive, and firepower.
Not only that.
What?
Look, Chris Paul, I thought had a solid game, but Podziemski next to him, this is where the problem is with the lack of shooting, and they're going to sit in the zone. Podziemski's shot. He's not as confident as he was from the outside. And even going inside with those long active defenders, especially today against Wemby, that hook shot, his play in the paint, those shots are going to get blocked. Or they're staying home on Podziemski's head fakes.
They've been adjusting, yes.
So they've adjusted to him. So coming in, maybe he could spearhead that second unit now with Steph Curry out, and he could get that pace going with the second unit, because that's another thing. No matter what Chris Paul's playing excellent basketball, but there's a difference in pace of play when you have him. The Warriors only took 88 shots Saturday night. 88 shots.
There's no doubt. He's a more deliberate player. And like by nature, that's how he's going to play. They're just too redundant alongside each other, Podziemski and CP3. On the Podziemski thing, how many times does he dribble into the lane and either pass up a shot or kick it out to somebody? Like, I don't know. I want to see him go up in the lane a little more, and be a little more aggressive. It feels like teams are hedging on him passing back out after driving in.
Yep.
I'm getting real.
You're passing it. No. You're passing it back out, and there's not any shooting back there.
Well, plus the shot clock is winding down, and it just feels like these possessions are scramble mode with 6 seconds or less. I don't know. I'm very frustrated, and I go back to Steve Kerr, and I'm not crushing Steve Kerr. I just think that Steve Kerr was the most important guy with 22 games to go, as we were talking about who's the most important and everything. And the reason being is because it was so matchup dependent. This team doesn't have, hey, here's your 4 bona fide starters. No matter what, this is who you're going to play. They've got a bunch of either redundant parts or parts where I have to see if they're good tonight.
Right.
Are you good? Almost like a starting pitcher. Like, how's your arm feeling?
Well, it's
right.
Yeah. Well, that's when you don't have Stephen Curry.
It makes it even worse.
So the Warriors averaged 92 field goal attempts a game. They got down to 88 Saturday night. The pace was a little slower. But I'm looking at 2 guys here. 2 guys we're clamoring for it. Moses Moody, 1. Again, he's 1 of 14 from 3 in his last 4 games. That's not good. 1 of 14 from 3 in his last, and he's 0 for 10 in his last 2 games from 3.
What does he hang his hat on?
I'm not sure what he hangs his hat on, but when we're all yelling and, hey, he should start, he should do this, he should do that, he's got to play with the right combination. We got too many parts that have to play with specific players. And to your point about, hey, let's just roll out a starting 5,
that's what I'm saying.
And you got to adjust to us. Well, you got to adjust to the matchups now with all these players. Now, not only are you doing that, you got an Andrew Wiggins problem again. Because Andrew Wiggins, look, he was fighting it Saturday night. You try to see the effort there, 11.6 rebounds. But since he's come back, he's now back down. Think about that. The previous 16 games before he walked away due to personal reasons, he's shooting 53% from the floor and 46 from 3. And you knew that, okay, he's going to miss 4 games. He's out. He's back with the team. He still says there's some things going on. We all understand that. We all want you to take care of your business, and we all support you and doing what you do when it comes to personal stuff. But since he's been back, the rhythm is gone again. Now he's back down to 29% from the 3-point line. Now he's back down to 39% from the floor. And he's not having an impact on offense or defense. And coming into the season, we thought, boy, he's got to be your second best player to make a deep run in the playoffs. I don't know what he is right now, but he's got to wake up in a heartbeat, man. You just need him. You need him in these last 20.
He's
19.
Fair or 19. Not, the reality is that it's probably the most disappointing Warrior of the season.
Wow.
And you could say, Joe, it's because of stuff going on outside of, basketball.
Basketball
and
related.
I get that.
Basketball related. He has not showed up. Basketball related.
But I'm saying what someone might say to me is like, well, it's because of things going on away. And I'd be like, I get that. But also, he has been the most disappointing. Like, both are true. I'm empathetic and I understand. I also sit here and I'm my team is scratching and clawing. I mean, these are guys' jobs are on the line.
Yeah, I know.
Legacies are on the line for these guys. And this isn't me. This is them talking. I mean, if you don't think that Klay Thompson is thinking about like, wow, a deep playoff run would boost my value and I could, get some extra dollars or maybe some more guaranteed years or something like that. I just have this question of this. Right now, forget going into the season. Right now, what are they trying to get out of Andrew Wiggins?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know at this point. You hope you get the player that you got a couple seasons ago. That seems like it's lost. You're trying to get a comparable player. You're going to play him. The guy's making $100 million with this new contract. I don't know what you do, man. We get to the offseason, we may have a different conversation about him, but I don't know, man. Klay Thompson went out there and he tried his ass off. He scored 27. He's at least in my words right now. Klay Thompson has handled his bench role and he's flourished in this role, but now you're going to have to start him. But you're going to have to shake it up too with Andrew Wiggins saying, we need you. Like, into my equation of going on a deep run or finishing the season strong with 19 games to play and maybe going 17-5, well, that looks like it's not going to happen because you lost to the San Antonio Spurs. I don't know what you get out of there. I don't know the solution to fixing that problem with Andrew Wiggins. Just on court. What is it? Is it combinations? Is it, do you need the ball in your hands more? I don't know. I don't know, Shasky. He was playing his best basketball, and you knew that, boy, he's going to come back, and now the rhythm's lost.
It's out
and in 3 games, you're like, damn, I kind of need you now without Stephen Curry.
Like, I don't know. There's been times when I've been just so distracted at work, and I've said to you guys, I've even told you guys after, like, maybe I should have took today off, and I apologize. I'm asking out loud, like, is it even fair to say, like, if he's not going to play with fire and all the passion and look locked in, like maybe, I don't know, man. I just think they're in a tough spot. I think they're in a really tough spot.
They are.
And the part is that's very frustrating, and you try to be as patient and as compassionate as you can, but it's 2 years in a row.
It's 2 years in a row.
Right? And, it's... Like right now, Jonathan Kuminga has so leapfrogged Andrew Wiggins in terms of importance. There's no going back. To me, there's no going back.
Oh, and I don't think they will go back. Kuminga's, he's a starter for good. And you saw him trying to will the team back in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
26
and it wasn't even at one of his good games.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. But he was trying. He's trying to get there. And look, there's going to be growing pains with the youngsters. This is what it is. When you play the youngsters, you're going to get up and down performances, which is like, here's the deal. Kuminga, we know, is now becoming a consistent player. That's a sign. That's a great sign. We'll see about TJD and Potts. They're rookies. I expect them to have some off nights here and there. They had off nights Saturday night.
Kuminga might be the third most. If you went Steph, Dre, right, in terms of consistent, I'd go Kuminga 3.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I'm with you there. I don't think that's saying a lot. But I don't think that's saying a lot.
No, I don't either.
With the way it's played out, there's no doubt.
Yeah, but if I said that to you a year ago, I think a lot of people would be surprised.
Maybe.
Even though he had a great little month.
Even though we wanted him to play last year. Like, we wanted him to play. We wanted him to maybe start and be us 4 with this. Like, I've believed in Kuminga's talents the entire time. But Andrew Wiggins, when you give him that contract, and what happened last year, we were empathetic about it. He came back and he played inspired basketball. He did, but it took away from Kuminga in those playoffs. And Kuminga wasn't able to play. Then there's this narrative that Kuminga doesn't have an IQ. He's unplayable. Now he's debunked all that. He made all you guys look like fools who doubted him. He's made everybody look like fools who talked about him having a low IQ, couldn't pass.
So
Kuminga's that guy. Yeah. It was very unfair. We talked about it in real time, and now you're wearing egg on your face. But Andrew Wiggins, as the first 3 months of the season was just awful. God awful. Then he got hot, and then he went away from the team. And a lot of people have issues with that because they're saying, well, gosh, I can't do that at my real job. And I always tell people, look, the NBA is not the real world. It is what it is. We just live in 2 different worlds. So we could go to a Starbucks, you and I. They can't go to a Starbucks.
No.
Don't tell me that their lives are the same or you have relatable lives when they can't walk into a Target without security guards.
There are elements that are relatable, and there are lots of elements that are not.
That are not
That's
even
where
close.
I would. What I
not
would
even
put it.
close.
Yeah.
Not even close. But boy, I don't like. You start Moses Moody. Well, Moses Moody's now in the funk. I don't know what you do here without Stephen Curry. You got to try to steal a game. He's going to be reevaluated Tuesday with the ankle injury. You hope that he can go against Dallas on Wednesday. That's not going to be easy. Then you play the Lakers down in L.A. Saturday night. You haven't won there since 2021 against the Lakers down in Crypto.com Arena. So I don't like. It's not doom and gloom because the Warriors are going to be in the top 10. But ideally, you want to be in the 7-8 range.
Yeah. Saturday night for me, the 6 seed died.
Oh yeah, that's done. That might be done. Although Sacramento, they didn't lose yesterday to Houston. But I'm not laughing. I'm not going to laugh at them when we're getting blown out by the San Antonio Spurs.
This is me saying it. I've given up hope on the 6th seed. Now, if it comes back around and I'm proven wrong, I'll wear egg on my face. Trust me, I will eat crow. Even though I heard now that crows are some of the smartest animals out there, I will eat the crow. But that to me died on Saturday night.
Yeah, they're 3 games behind the Kings and the Suns for that 6-7 spot.
Too many teams to jump, too little time.
The move.
I don't believe in them as much as I did.
You've got to get to 7-8. You've got to get to 7-8.
Well, they had an opportunity to close it if they would have won Saturday.
Well, you got
close the gap a little.
Well, you got 3 games against the Mavericks.
I know.
And you got 2 against the Lakers. You're 2 games behind the Mavericks in the loss column. You're 3 behind the Kings in the loss column. Can I get to 7-8? That's the Warriors' mindset here. Can you get to 7-8?
You bring up Luka. I mean, the Spurs went to the free throw line almost 30 times.
I know.
What do you think Luka's going to do?
Luka's going to get there probably 30 times.
You want to talk about a game where I could use Andrew Wiggins? It would be the game against Luka.
Yeah, well,
considering what he did against him a while ago.
No doubt. Oh man,
2022 feels like a decade ago,
dude. Doesn't it? It's depressing. It really is depressing.